I would like to invite the next person to the podium. She is our Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Her name is Honorable Shirley Ayoko-Botre. She's a tireless advocate for women empowerment and gender equality. She's dedicated public servant, and she's instrumental in strengthening diplomatic ties for Ghana and promoting Ghana on the international stage. Let's all welcome Honorable Shirley Ayoko-Botre. Thank you very much. I'm here to introduce the keynote speaker. Right Honorable Aban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, the Chief Justice of Ghana, and members of the Council of State of Ghana, Mr. Stephen Twigg, Secretary General of the CPA, Right Honorable Speakers of Parliament of Commonwealth Member States, former Speakers of Ghana, Ministers of State, Honorable Members of Parliament of our beloved Commonwealth, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners to Ghana, eminent Chairman and members of the Organizing Committee, members of the media fraternity, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Our keynote speaker for this important occasion is bilingual, a legal professional who pursued his education in both Ghana and the United Kingdom. Called to the bar of both countries, this lawyer par excellence championed and still upholds the rule of law, freedom and justice, and the tenets of democracy. He has demonstrated brilliance in his legal, business, and political career in both domestic and international spheres. To mention but a few of his achievements, he co-founded the law firm of Akufo-Addo & Co., a prominent law firm that has mentored and churned out impressive and accomplished lawyers in Ghana. As a highly altruistic and philanthropic individual, he's well known to have given free legal assistance to the needy and fought for the rights and liberties of the Ghanaian people. It is therefore not surprising that he became the first chairperson of the Committee on Human and People's Rights in Ghana. He is an astute diplomat who strongly advocates for the principles of cooperation in multilateralism, including institutions such as the Commonwealth. He is highly committed to ensuring that the Commonwealth continues to be the most viable and attractive integrational body in the 21st century. He served with distinction as a Member of Parliament for 3 consecutive terms. He served as Minister of Justice and Attorney General, and also as Minister for Foreign Affairs. The keynote speaker's passion for realizing the vision of a Ghana and an Africa beyond aid, and the need to harness effectively our own resources for enhanced industrialization and social transformation culminated in the efforts he made for Ghana to be chosen as the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Secretary General of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. I thank you.
I think so reluctant.
You are sitting in your heart.
Foreign Minister, thank you very much for that.
You know, did it. You know, did it.
So the president is the keynote speaker.
Yes, that's all. You think they did the wish to have a
Eminent clergy, Christian and Muslim, the Right Honorable Speaker of Ghana's Parliament and President of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and distinguished speakers, active and retired, from the parliaments of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Ghana's Chief Justice, members of Ghana's Council of State, Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and other Ghanaian ministers of state, members of Parliament from Ghana and other nations of the Commonwealth, Secretary General of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Chairperson and members of the Executive Committee of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Chairperson of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, the Commonwealth Persons with Disability, the President of Ghana's National House of Chiefs and other traditional rulers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to deliver this address at the 66th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference. And I'm delighted that Ghana, after several decades of dedicated membership of the Commonwealth, indeed, the first post-colonial sub-Saharan nation so to become, is hosting this conference for the first time. The impressive attendance of delegates to the conference is a demonstration of the commitment of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association to unite efforts towards a common objective. To those of you coming from beyond our shores, especially members of the parliaments of the Commonwealth, I extend a hearty akwaba, a word of welcome. Enjoy your stay amongst the people justifiably famed for their hospitality. It is always good to be in the midst of parliamentarians. As some of you may know, I spent some 12 memorable years as a member of Ghana's parliament, representing a Dankwa constituency in the eastern region of the country on 2 successive occasions, and the Dankwa South constituency carved out of the Dankwa constituency on the 3rd. Some of the most interesting times of my political life were in the Chamber of Parliament. And dare I say, that is where, with the help of colleagues, like the current Speaker of Parliament and the President of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the Right Honorable Albin Bagman, whom I came to meet on the other side in the House in 1997, and the Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, the Majority Leader and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, with whom I entered Parliament on the same side at the same time. We did some of the work with long-lasting effects on our society. Admittedly, this conference is being held at a time when the world is confronted with a myriad of grave issues, including environmental, financial, and security ones, which are having negative impacts on lives and livelihoods, especially for those of us in developing countries. Surmounting these challenges requires collective and concerted efforts whilst upholding the democratic and human rights principles that validate our common existence as a commonwealth of nations. It is against this background that I find the theme for the conference, Commonwealth Charter, 10 years on, values and principles for Parliament to uphold of considerable significance for our times. Honorable members, the Commonwealth Charter binds the Commonwealth together. It directs the actions of member states through our shared values and principles, which the Charter embodies. The Charter states the commitment of member states to building free, just, and democratic societies, as well as to the advancement of peace, security, and economic development towards improving the quality of lives of the peoples within the Commonwealth. The Charter, as you're all aware, projects the values of good governance, the rule of law, protection of fundamental human rights and freedoms, promotion of international peace and security, as well as protection of the environment. And undoubtedly, these values and principles are fundamental to building just, inclusive, and prosperous societies for all. We therefore have the onerous responsibilities as members of the Commonwealth to translate these principles into tangible and measurable outcomes to guarantee human security. The legislature in particular, as the fulcrum of democracy, has a responsibility to represent and promote the interests of the citizenry. This forum, thus, presents us with a unique opportunity to reflect on the progress made in upholding the values and principles projected in the Commonwealth Charter since its adoption a decade ago. Indeed, the challenges we face today in our democratic journey do not just put to test our commitment to the principles of the Commonwealth Charter, but also call into question the effective application of these principles in responding to the needs and aspirations of citizens. As once noted by my fellow Ghanaian, Kofi-Addo of blessed memory, our illustrious former Secretary General of the United Nations, who said, and I quote, "Without good governance, without the rule of law, predictable administration, legitimate power and responsive regulation, no amount of charity will put us on the path of prosperity," unquote. It is important to remind ourselves that part of the legitimacy of democracy lies in its capacity to produce tangible developmental outcomes, such as good health care, quality education, and affordable housing, and to create opportunities for individuals to explore, develop, and realize their God-given potentials. It is through the accomplishment of these goals that the concept of democracy becomes truly meaningful to our peoples. Honorable members, terrorism and violent extremism remain phenomena that threaten our very existence as individuals and collectively as nations. According to the 2023 Global Terrorism Index, terrorism has turned deadlier, with lethality up by 26%. We have in recent times witnessed terrorist attacks at the hearts of our neighboring countries, like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. A terror attack on citizens in one part of the globe affects citizens of other parts, in view of the multicultural and interconnected nature of our world. Combating terrorism requires a coordinated effort by all nations and stakeholders. Parliaments can contribute to that effort in combating terrorism through the enactment, for instance, of strong legislations that curtail cross-border movement of illegal firearms and impose heavy sanctions on offenders. Honorable members, humanity today is struggling to live in harmony with nature. The undeniable truth is that our planet is undergoing unprecedented environmental degradation in the wake of climate change. Issues of environmental pollution, desertification, deforestation, global warming, flooding, and other forms of degradation, and their adverse consequences continue to pose imminent threats to the very survival of the human race. Efforts by the Committee of Nations in search of common solutions to climate change have resulted in several measures, including promotion of renewable energy, strengthening of environmental regulations, and fostering international collaboration. Global advocacy towards transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy resources such as solar, wind, hydroelectric, and nuclear power has been phenomenal. The clarion call is for member countries to invest in renewable energy infrastructure, provide incentives for clean energy production, and set renewable energy targets to reduce carbon emissions and combat climate change, and also make our economies competitive. There's also the call to strengthen environmental regulations. Your distinct roles as members of parliaments of the Commonwealth will require you to enact requisite legislations and provide for the enforcement of robust environmental regulations to protect natural resources, reduce pollution, and promote sustainable practices. These regulations can cover areas like air and water quality, waste management, afforestation, and wildlife conservation to ensure a healthier and more sustainable environment. Overcoming climate change and other interconnected matters would not be possible without international cooperation. Knowledge sharing on appropriate technology and best practices amongst countries in support of various initiatives will strengthen global efforts for sustainable future environment. These measures, along with continuous innovation, education, and public awareness, can contribute significantly to the preservation and protection of our environment. Protecting the environment is not an option. It is an ethical imperative which requires a profound shift in our collective mindset and behavior. We must act swiftly, decisively, and inclusively, leaving no one behind in our pursuit of a sustainable and harmonious world that will cater for today and for posterity. There are two other unwelcome developments, honorable members, in the region and in the world we cannot ignore on an occasion such as this. The first is the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is a flagrant violation of international law and an attack on the sovereignty of a member state of the United Nations. The overwhelming majority of member states of the General Assembly have consistently condemned it. We must continue to stand firm in our condemnation of all kinds of hegemonic acts, especially of those that seek to subject the will of smaller nations to those of their bigger and stronger neighbors. The condemnation notwithstanding, we must also do all in our power to promote peace between the two nations and find an end to the conflict on the basis of acceptable established principles of international law. It is in everybody's interest that this is done. The second are the unconstitutional changes in government in parts of Africa especially in West Africa, through a series of coups d'etats and military interventions in governments, which testify to democratic regression. It is in the interest of democratic growth that this development is reversed as soon as possible. And in order so to do, that we give maximum support to ECOWAS, the regional body of West Africa, and the African Union, Africa's continental organization, in their efforts to restore democratic institutions in the affected nations of Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Niger, and Gabon. And also, in whatever dispositions they take to stem the tide of this unwelcome evolution. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, indeed, the Commonwealth itself, should join ECOWAS and the African Union in demanding the immediate unconditional release from unjustifiable detention of the democratically elected President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum. Democracy and the stability that generally accompanies democratic governments are essential for the future prosperity of the African continent. Honorable members, Ghana has remained steadfast in her commitment to upholding the values outlined in the Commonwealth Charter. In our journey since the inception of the Fourth Republic, some 30 years ago, we have proudly witnessed a smooth transition from one democratically elected government of one party to another of a different party on 3 separate occasions. We've also enacted laws aimed at aligning with the core principles of the Commonwealth. However, there's still much work ahead. It is our noble duty to ensure the preservation of a framework of government that secures for ourselves and our prosperity, quote, the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity, unquote, as stated in the preamble of the Constitution of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. We aspire to build a peaceful, democratic country with a resilient economy, and to foster a polity where human rights are upheld in a governance system which rests on the twin pillars of the separations of powers and the promotion of the rule of law, and where every individual's existence is safeguarded. These are central features of the national vision of building a Ghana beyond aid, where economic freedom and the spirit of enterprise drive the development of a self-reliant Ghana, which no longer depends on foreign aid or charity for its existence, but depends rather on the intelligent management of her considerable resources to achieve her prosperity and progress. Crucially, honorable members, we must address the issue of balanced and equitable representation. We owe our people a representation that is truly balanced and equitable. Within the Commonwealth, and notably here in Ghana, women constitute a majority of the population. Despite this, their parliamentary representation falls far short. Out of the 275 elected members of parliament in Ghana, a mere 40 are women, accounting for some 14.5% of the total number, and this clearly and certainly leaves much to be desired. We have to continue to fashion members to ensure effective representation of the citizen, regardless of gender, color, creed, ethnicity, or disability of any form. Further, applying and upholding the values and principles of the Charter require, in our view, the attachment of the Commonwealth and global community to the realization of 2 matters of great and urgent concern. Firstly, the reform of the institutions of global governance, particularly the United Nations and its Security Council, to make them more representative and reflective of contemporary realities. And secondly, the agreement of the European nations who sponsored the barbaric and inhuman transatlantic slave trade, the payment of compensation and reparations to the descendants of the victims of this horrific experience, especially as a the slave owners, unlike the slaves, were compensated when the trade was abolished. In conclusion, I applaud the Commonwealth for its unwavering commitment to principles such as the rule of law, open and inclusive societies, equal rights for all, and profound respect for fundamental human rights and freedoms. I anticipate that this conference will provide a solid platform for reflection on our past achievements, engage in thoughtful discussions about present challenges, and together chart a course towards realizing the hopes and aspirations of our peoples under the noble goals of the Charter. United under a shared purpose, the Commonwealth has the potential to achieve even greater heights by nurturing deeper friendships, engendering closer partnerships, and enhancing greater cooperation through diplomacy in order to elevate human civilization to a new level where democracy, freedom, respect for human rights and social justice are not just high-sounding words, but active directing principles of the body politic of each nation in the continent and indeed on the planet. I wish all delegates and participants fruitful deliberations and end by accepting in all humility with gratitude the offer to act as Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, albeit in a temporary capacity. Whilst extending my warmest greetings to the life patron of the association, my good friend and the good friend of Ghana, His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom, the head of the Commonwealth. May God bless the nations of the Commonwealth, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and us all. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Indeed, that's